there was nobody that could do things like Mary. She was the best cook. She was the best people clean house. She just did everything perfect. And he told Flo one time, because you know when you have a heavy stove or refrigerator that you can't move, you just sweep around it and scrub around it, but still the dirt gets under there where it builds up. And he come over to help Bill move some of his appliances, and he says, oh my, he says, don't you ever clean behind here? He said, boy, honey's floor, you could, behind her stove, you could eat on the floor, you know. And we was telling Mary about what Everett said, and she laughed, and she says, well, what he doesn't know is before that, you know, we start moving the stuff out, I move it out myself and I clean under it, and then I push it back, and he thinks that, you know, that's just you know, clean and whatever. So Everett was a gambler. He loved the horse races, and it was an addiction to him. He couldn't stop, but he just, poor Mary, she, he was so bad that when he didn't have any money, he'd start selling Mary's furniture. And the first thing he sold, I guess because he probably could get the most money out of it, was his refrigerator. And at that time, Flo and myself and Mary all lived in what we called Paul's shack. It was just a square, probably an acre or whatever, and he had 4 houses on it. Flo and Mary lived next door to each other. I lived the house up, and the Mexican grandma lived on the other side of me. And then later on, there was they built another little house, and the houses were very, very small. But anyway, getting back to Everett and selling the furniture, he sold her dressers. The only thing he left was the beds, but he sold the dressers in the kids' room. And then Mary, and poor old Mary looked abused. She went and got boxes at the store, and she folded them up and put them in the box instead of just letting them out to get dirty all over again. And she always just looked so abused, and she never complained. I never ever heard her complain. Her and my sister Jeannie worked at an airplane factory where later I worked there with them, but where you had to build fuselages for the airplane. And that's kind of like how when you lath a house or something, you have to have the paper underneath it, and then the wire goes on, then you know, stuck on. Well, in an airplane, it looks like the airplane, but you have to have a fuselage in it. You can't. There's no way you can fly a plane without it. So we did that, and I never have been one to move fast. I'm very slow and lazy. I just don't move fast. But Mary and Jean did, and the women, it was all women that worked there, and there was 2 old ladies that owned it that were the boss of it. And anyway, when Jean had surgery, and so Mary went and asked one of the owners if her sister could work with her, meaning me, you know, because they had to have 2, one on each side of it was like real big long tables. And that Hattie says, well, I don't see anything wrong with that. Yes, if you want. And so Mary come and took me to be her partner and to work there. And like I said, she could work like a demon, just didn't make any difference if it was housework or what. But there we was all on piecework, got paid by what we got done. And Everett wasn't working at that time, gambled everything they had away, I think. And poor Mary was she was working so fast, and like I said, it takes 2 people. You can't, if one gets done first, you can't, unless you help them on their side, you can't go get another one. You know, you have to finish them together. Well, like I said, I'm so slow, and Mary come over and she says, let me help you, KK. She says, well, have this done in a minute. You had one end, and then up the long side, the other person had the other end, and then down. That's how you were. Well, she'd be all done with everything when I had about half of that long line done, and boy, she'd come over and she'd just go to town. And I used to feel bad that I couldn't keep up, but I was doing all I could do, you know. And anyway, there was just two ladies that were so jealous of Mary and Jeannie because they could do so much more than anyone else. They the piecework they had was, you know, and that's how you got paid. Well, these two women was so jealous, and they tried to go to the owners and say, well, you know, they're not doing very good work, and you should examine their work a little bit better, or whatever, you know. And so one time they had to put Jeannie to work with this one that, you know, complained to him all the time, and she says, I just can't work with Mary. She says Jeannie, she smells so bad. She says she's just, you know, I can't work with her. And so anyway, it abused Mary, you know, if anybody say anything about their family, you know. And
her being so clean and everything.
Yeah. But anyway, she when Jean come back after she had recuperated, Mary had told her what they said, you know, and she went up there before she even started work. She always wore her pants so high up that they had like camel toes, you know, and her hair just a-flying, you know, and she had not real long hair, but she had hair about down to here, and her hair was curly, so it looked kind of fuzzy. But anyway, Jeannie went up to, with her fist balled, she went up to those two people, and she says, I hear you say my sister smells, you can't work with her. And she said, well, let me tell you something, you both stink. And she says, and plus you're a-hole too. And then turned around and walked back at him, you know. As I've mentioned before, man, I had the best family ever when I was growing up, and then the Lord blessed me again, and I've got the best family now. I want to go a little bit more on Mary and my mom. When my mom was so sick that she couldn't get out of bed, Everett and Mary lived in Decatur, Illinois, because that's where Everett's people was from. And but anyway, it worked out because he didn't have any work down there, and he came to Fort Wayne and was able to find some kind of job. I don't know what it was, but anyway, Mary took care of Mom, and her and Everett lived with us, so she could take care of us, or take care of the kids and that. I remember a time that Mary asked Flo and I if we could peel the potatoes for dinner. She was busy and kind of running behind time, and Flo and I wound around and said, oh gosh, we was just, you know, right in the middle of this, you know, and Mary says, oh, that's okay. Like I said, she was a next thing to an angel that lived on this earth. She was, I can't relate how sweet she was. But anyway, she said, that's okay. She says, I'll find some time here to get it done. And she says, why don't you girls just go on outside so you can play? And so Flo and I went out and sat on, we had like a screened-in room that didn't have windows or anything. It was just screening, kind of like how people sometimes will do that to a patio. Well, anyway, we was out there, and we both started feeling kind of bad, and we went back in and told Mary we'd do the potatoes, and she says, oh no, she says, I was just getting ready to do it now. I've got everything else done. And we felt like such, I don't know think of the worst word, and that's
Scum.
what we felt like.
And he's waiting for change.